We were doing a transitional attack just training, but it was still live fire days. And so we moved from the ground floor to the second story to simulate a motel fire. And when we get up there, I open the fire door and take a big deep breath. And immediately I knew something was wrong. But in that moment, you don't panic. And so I tried to push forward, took another deep breath, and I was, man, something is really wrong. So I step out and I realized that I didn't have my regulator put on my mask. So I was just breathing in smoke. But now I look back on that, and to me, that's a learning moment.
Yep.
You know, it definitely hurt at the moment.
Bet you won't do it again.
No, definitely not.
Has there been a moment so far where you're like, my job is crazy. I can't believe this is my job. This is crazy. Like, have you had like a moment like that?
My first structure fire, it was a mobile home. And so we make entry, we go inside, and we're starting to put the fire out. And then you see the flames just roll over your head.
Whew.
And that was my moment of, wow, that's pretty cool, actually. But at the same time, it's not cool because it is somebody's home.
Yeah, that's facts. Yeah, that'll do something too. That'll put some hair on your chest and then burn it off.
Well, faith obviously plays a big role. I started going back and forth with it a while ago, and then I finally just decided that my faith and my trust is going to be put in God. And that was thanks to one of my best friends, Yare, and then my wife, Brooklyn, kind of led me to that. But if I run into a burning building, I can trust our gear up to a certain degree, literally. But it's God that protects me that goes through everything. You
Absolutely.
know, when I'm working on a vehicle extrication, it's God that's protecting us, the patients, everyone that's working on the scene, going to and from a call. When people don't necessarily pull over for emergency vehicles, there might be some choice words in my head that I'm thinking. Obviously, don't say them.
Yeah.
But he's the one that's like, it's just in the back of my mind that everything I do, everywhere I go, it's God's got me. He is my protector, and he'll make sure that I come out on the other side.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kingdom Minded podcast. This is a podcast where we talk about education, exciting careers, family, and what it means to navigate that through faith while keeping a kingdom mindset. My name is Iyare, and I'll be your host today. And today we have a very special guest. We have firefighter Matthew Varella. He's also a military veteran, former Air Force. And yeah, we're very excited to have him joining us today. How are you doing today, Matt?
I'm doing good. I appreciate the opportunity to come over here and just speak on your podcast. It means a lot to me that you'd invite me. So thank you, and thank all of y'all for watching this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's only right that, you know, I have a great longtime friend come and be my first guest here. You know, he's had a very intriguing path, and I'm excited for you all to hear a bit about his story and see how he sort of navigates that through his faith as well. Yeah, so let's just jump right into it. If you don't mind telling us a little bit about yourself. You know, where are you from? You know, what's gotten you here? What's taking you here today? And what you're up to now?
Absolutely. So I was raised in San Antonio, Texas, which is where me and Yara became friends. I spent some time after high school. I went to college for a little bit, decided that wasn't necessarily the right path for me. So from that, I enlisted in the Air Force. I did 6 years. I did one tour overseas, which was the best 6 months that I had while in the Air Force. So I'm very thankful for that. Thankful for all the guys and gals that I met downrange or when I was in Georgia or Biloxi, Mississippi. Fast forward from that, I met my wife before I got out of the Air Force, and she was finishing up her med school at Texas Tech. From that, I had to decide whether I wanted to come back to San Antonio or if I wanted to be long distance still. I had the opportunity to go to New Mexico, which would have put me closer to Lubbock. In that time, she decided, you know, to go to residency in San Antonio, which would have put me further. So with that, I decided I was going to get out of the service. And one of my good cousins, he's a firefighter here in Bexar County, and he just kind of put the thought on my mind. And I never really thought about being a firefighter before, but having the brotherhood and the family that I had while in the service is definitely something that I wanted. So with that, I went to San Antonio College and became certified for TCFP as a firefighter. After that, I obtained my EMT. And then now I work in South Texas as a firefighter. I've been doing it for about 6 months now. And a lot of people will say that they have the best job, but there is not a single day that I've gone into work of like, man, you know, I don't want to be here. I'm tired, or everybody that we see on the streets, every call that we go to, it's a different opportunity.
Yeah.
It's exciting for us to, help the public out. So that's kind of where I'm at now, and I'm very grateful to be where I am.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And yeah, I love the firefighter story. We're definitely gonna delve deeper into that as we go along in this podcast. But I'm interested to see, you talked about how you went to college for a little bit and then you joined the Air Force. What exactly sort of led you to leave the traditional, college route and jump into the Air Force? Was that something that you had on your mind as you were growing up? Was it random? Were you held at gunpoint to do it? What got you into the Air Force?
Well, it's funny that you asked that. As a kid, I mean, you could look through my yearbooks. There's always a spot to fill out. What do you want to be when you grow up? People put doctor, lawyer, yada yada, whatever they want to put. Mine was always Air Force, and I can remember my third grade yearbook having it. And I don't have it with
Really?
me, but maybe I'll pull it up and we'll post a picture about it one
Yeah,
day.
somebody fact check that.
But my dad was in the Air Force. Both of my grandfathers were in the Air Force. I have numerous uncles that were in the Air Force as well. So I knew it was going to be a path for me. I just didn't know exactly when that was going to happen. And then being in college, I wasn't necessarily the happiest. I was kind of going away from my faith, and I had to do something that brought me back in. And for me, that was just enlisting. I had to get out of San Antonio to realize how much I wanted to come back to San Antonio, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. And now, leaving the Air Force topic, you left the Air Force and became a firefighter. So what was the main mindset behind that transition?
The main mindset was I didn't necessarily want to go back to college right after the Air Force either. But becoming a firefighter, you do go to college because I went through San Antonio College. So,
Yeah.
in a way, you do. I just didn't want a traditional job where I go to an office.
Yeah.
And this appealed to me. I mean, you work either 24 or 48-hour shifts. You get to hang out with your friends for 48 hours and you get to help people at the same time. So to me, it was a win-win. And I just needed something to fill that gap that I would have if I started working an office job.
Okay. You saying that kind of made me think of a question, sort of sidebar, but you said 24, 48 hours. In firefighting, I don't know, there's some sort of national standard. Is there a maximum hour that you can work on a shift? Like, I know like truck drivers and stuff, they can't drive more than like 13 hours or something like that
Mhm.
before they need to like stop and take a rest. Is there like a maximum number of hours that a firefighter can work before they need to go to the next shift?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I do
Okay.
know a lot of people will pick up shifts, which in turn ends up being 96 hours on shift.
Oh man.
However, there's opportunities and you take them when you can get them for you to rest.
Yeah.
It's not you're not running calls every hour on the hour. Some shifts are definitely like that. Like 2 tours ago, we had over 20 calls in a shift.
Jeez.
Very busy, but very rewarding at the same time because you see the people you help. But yeah, the longest I've known someone to work is 96 hours.
Okay. Yeah. And I wonder if in like in New York or something, like those
Mhm,
major cities. I'm sure they got like the manpower to handle it, but
mhm,
I wonder if someone's picking up extra for some reason or, in times when there's something going on in the world, like COVID, for example, and people got to pick up shifts.
mhm.
I wonder if there's a record out there. If there's someone who's worked like a week or something. Drop in the comments if you know a firefighter who has worked more than 70 or what is it, like 90
96.
96 hours. I'm sure you do. Let me know if there's over like 150. That's crazy. Yeah, I want to hear
Yeah.
if that exists or not. Okay, Matt. So you've been doing this for some time now. Is there anything about being a fighter that has surprised you the most compared to your expectations going into it?
Something that has surprised me the most,
Yeah.
say the amount of people that will call 911, and usually you'll call 911 because it's the worst day of your life. It's an emergency, but then they refuse to go to the hospital. They don't want to get transported by ambulance. And another side of that coin is ambulances do cost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So I understand it, but I don't understand it of why do you call 911 but you don't want to come with us?
Yeah.
Like if it was that bad, then why are you refusing to go? And
Maybe.
most of the time when they do refuse, they'll have a family member or a neighbor that takes them to the hospital, which
Oh,
is good
yeah.
because they called us for a reason. They
Yeah.
should be seen by a doctor.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, maybe they're lonely, maybe they just need somebody to want someone to come check up on them. If they got a
Mhm.
family member there, then that's not an excuse that you could use.
Yep.
But I think there's some people who find sort of comfort in knowing that, whatever's going on, they're not feeling well in that moment, and they may be on the edge of, like, "Should I go? Should I not?"
Mhm.
I think maybe the firefighter or the EMT in that moment could offer a sense of, hey, they come, they check you out, see
Mhm.
if you're good. If they look at you and they say you're not in dire situation, they're almost like the middleman to tell you whether you can stay home and handle it, or you can just, or you need to go to the hospital
Mhm.
and take care of it. So I think once they get that sort of reassurance that they don't need to rush to the hospital,
Mhm.
that's like all they need to hear. Be like, okay, I'm not gonna die today. I can probably hold it till tomorrow.
Yeah,
Like so. But at the end of the
definitely.
day, I think a lot of the time, you want to try to get that checked out and be a little bit more preventative
Mhm.
with your care. And yeah, care costs money, especially in the United States. So I understand, not wanting to hop into the ambulance and get a few $1,000 bill in your
Mhm. Yep, and
mail, but
throw a little disclaimer out there too that people who wanna join firefighting, it is not all about fire. You have to care for the community. I mean, you're a public servant. You work
yeah,
for the public is what you do. So if you're not good in that aspect, you either need to find a way to get good at it, work towards it, or it just may not be the job for you. Another one is I'd say depending department to department, your medical calls will take up maybe 80% to 85% of your actual call volume. And maybe the 5% of that will be vehicle accidents and the rest are fires, whether that be, just a pot that was smoking on the stove or it's a fully involved fire. So you really never know when you get that call what it is because you get told something, it could be something completely different. So you always got to keep your head on a swivel and you always got to look at the big picture, not zone into what you see, but what everything is around it.
yeah,
Um, so it was very surprising to me that it wasn't all fire when I first joined as well.
yeah. That's a fair point. It's a very multidisciplinary job,
Mhm.
I would say. So if you come in thinking that you're only gonna be hosing down fires, then I guess you might be pleasantly or sadly mistaken. I don't know. Depends on your expectations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm interested in the training to become a fireman, like, or a firefighter. Was there a moment in your training where you were sort of like, okay, like this is serious. Like what I'm doing isn't just some run of the mill job. And it may not even have been what you might have went through. Maybe you saw someone else experience that. Was
Mhm.
there a moment in training where that sort of happened?
Yes, definitely. In firefighting, part of, going into a burning building is putting on your PPE correctly, and that being personal protective equipment,
Yeah.
being your coat, pants, boots, mask, hood, and helmet, and your gloves. There was one we were doing a transitional attack just training, but it was still live fire days. And so we moved from the ground floor to the second story to simulate a motel fire. And when we get up there, I open the fire door and take a big deep breath. And immediately I knew something was wrong. But in that moment, you don't panic.
Yeah.
You try to go back through, make sure everything's good. And so I tried to push forward, took another deep breath, and I was, man, something is really wrong. So I step out and I realized that I didn't have my regulator put on my mask. So I was just breathing in smoke. Um, but now I look back on that, and to me, that's a learning moment.
Yeah.
It definitely hurt at the moment.
Bet you won't do it again, though,
No,
right?
definitely not. No, that's part of my ever check everything before you go into a building. You're checking your buddies too,
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
because you're going there to save the public. But at the end of the day, your job is to go home to your family.
Yeah.
And if you can't go home to your family, why are you doing this job? You
Right.
know.
For sure.
So that was definitely a learning moment for me. There was plenty of learning moments in the academy, a lot of things that were new to me because in the Air Force I was a communications specialist, so I wasn't a firefighter in the Air Force or for the military. So it's a completely different career path. But everything you can either take it as a learning moment or kind of just push it to the side. But if you're not learning, you're not evolving. So
Yeah.
I take everything as a learning moment.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I really like that. And so moving on from the training, like you said, you've been at it for about 6, 7 months now. Had there been any moments so far while on the job that have really stuck with you?
Things that have stuck with me,
Yeah,
anything that has to do with children, that will definitely stick with you.
yeah.
Um, my first fire, that will stick with me, whether it's the grass fire or the structure fire, I can tell you exactly where they were and what happened. And then my first vehicle extrication, that one came out at 2:30 in the morning, so we were fast asleep, and it's 0 to 100 because that's what the public requires of you. They don't want someone who's lazy or is gonna roll out of bed and is only gonna give you 50%. They require that 100%, and that's what you need to give. So that I mean, everything that was a first time for me is definitely something I'll remember.
That's good. And, I know in your time being on this job and just being a firefighter in general, it's a job that not everyone is cut out to do. It's a job that not everyone should do. Like, I know some folks who for sure should not be firefighters
Mhm,
based on the amount of, courage that it demands, selflessness and sacrifice to essentially put yourself in harm's way to go and save somebody that you don't know.
mhm.
And and so I'd imagine something like that that could be every day you're toiling with life and death, if not for yourself, for other people. And and living in that space, on a day-to-day basis, I'd imagine that would sort of test your faith. So I'm curious to see, how does faith play a role in what you do as a firefighter?
Well, faith obviously plays a big role. I started going back and forth with it a while ago, and then I finally just decided that my faith and my trust is gonna be put in God. And that's thanks to one of my best friends, Yare, and then my wife, Brooklyn, kinda led me to that. But if I run into a burning building, I can trust our gear up to a certain degree, literally, but it's God that protects me that goes through everything, you know?
Absolutely.
When
Yeah.
I'm working on a vehicle extrication, it's God that's protecting us, the patients, everyone that's working on the scene, going to and from a call. When people don't necessarily pull over for emergency vehicles, there might be some choice words in my head that I'm thinking. Obviously, don't say them,
Yeah.
but he's the one that's like, it's just in the back of my mind, everything I do, everywhere I go, it's God's got me. He is my protector, and He'll make sure that I come out on the other side.
Absolutely. Yeah, God is the ultimate protector and provider. And yeah, I'd imagine that someone of faith would need to lean on that a
Mhm,
lot when you're doing a job such as this. And so that makes me curious to know that if there were any moments throughout your time being a firefighter that have sort of tested your faith, or something that has been, or any situations that have been sort of difficult to process spiritually.
mhm. Definitely, one comes to mind. It was a two vehicle accident early in the morning, head on collision, so very bad accident. Um, it ended up being a couple individuals were intoxicated and they were driving. So when it came to that, we saw the cars, we saw the damage, and we started pulling them out. It didn't really hit me until afterwards of why did so and so who is intoxicated make it, the person who is not intoxicated not make it. And you just wrestle with yourself about that of, maybe I could have done this or that to help save them. Um, and why did I help the drivers of these cars that were intoxicated more or less than I did the other driver? And that was definitely something that was very hard to play. And it's I don't know if funny is the right word, but as soon as we got all of them out, one of the deputies pulled something out of the back seat of one of the cars and it was a Bible.
Mm, it's deep.
Yeah. It was very powerful to see, and it was just another sign of, God's got us, you
Right.
know. He's gonna take care of us. Even though somebody shouldn't have been drinking and driving, he's gonna take care of us. We all make mistakes and I'm not meant to judge somebody.
Yeah.
you know? And that was something big to wrestle with because, I mean, who am I? I could judge them, but what does that make me?
Yeah.
So I'm just there to help them. I'm not there to judge them. Well, in my daily life too, I'm not there to judge you. I'm there to help you.
Yeah.
So that was one that I definitely wrestled with pretty hard, and I think I talked to you about it before too, and definitely
Yeah.
talked to my wife and a couple other folks about it because I really didn't know where I landed at that point, and kind of put me in the right direction.
For sure. Yeah, that's a really heavy moment, and I'm sure like as a firefighter, you're dealing with those things on maybe not as that intense all the time, but I'm sure they add up, and
Mhm,
especially if you end up doing this for years on end, those type of things add up, and it might even make it to where you start to feel numb to it in a sense,
mhm,
and but also the human side of you wants you to feel like you should never like get numb to something like this,
yep,
numb to people dying or people getting badly hurt that don't deserve it, things like that, and so I think that's where having that faith in God and staying kingdom minded as much as you can will definitely benefit you
mhm,
in your position. Because it's a tough position, but I don't think God would put you or anyone or even equipped you with the type of tools and the talents that you have in order to fulfill this job without
mhm,
giving you um, the ability to thrive through it
mhm,
and do well through it and eventually be a a mentor to others, And
yep.
so I know you're early on in your career, but as far as I know, I don't know much about fire dynamics, but I think you're definitely on a great path to doing well in your career and leading others in a really great way. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really proud of you for what you've accomplished so far.
Thank you, thank you.
And so on a lighter note, has there been a moment so far where you're in the middle of the job, you're like, I don't know, you're in the middle of hosing something down or I don't know. And you're just thinking to yourself, like, this is crazy. Like, what am I doing? Like, my job is crazy. I can't believe this is my job. This is crazy. Like, have you had like a moment like that?
Yes, and I'm still very new to the job, so a lot of things are gonna be my firsts.
Yeah, that's fair.
My first structure fire, it was a mobile home, and so we make entry, we go inside, and we're starting to put the fire out, and then you see the flames just roll over your head,
Whew.
and that was my moment of, "Wow, that's pretty cool, actually." But at the same time, it's not cool because it is somebody's home,
Yeah, that's facts.
but being there and being the one that was called, I think, is the coolest part of it all, is that they called us on their worst day.
Yeah.
So that was definitely my, I guess, welcome to the NBA moment
Yeah.
was seeing fire roll over your head.
Okay. Yeah, that'll do something too. That'll put some hair on your chest and then burn it off. Yeah. Okay. Has there been any like funny moments or unexpected moments at
Mm.
all? It doesn't have
There
to be on the job. Maybe might be like in the house or
funny moment, a lot of funny moments happen on the job, especially on calls. People will say something and it's not the way they meant it, or we don't take anything personally, but we also remain professionals at the same time. So we may not laugh about it in front of anybody, but we'll go back to the station and, hey, do you remember that? Do you remember this? And
yeah.
we'll have a laugh about it later. I mean, station pranks. I don't want to get into that. Those are definitely fun, but yeah, overall the job's fun. It's funny, but it has a lot of serious moments to it as well. And
Yeah.
it's all what you make it. If
Yeah.
you want to be serious 24/7, that's how it's going to be. If you want it to be lighthearted and fun, that's what it's going to be too. You just have to know when to work and when to hang out with your friends and do station chores or do training, and the training is meant so that when you have that less than 10% that you're ready to go for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious to know if in your time in this job has this journey taught you anything about life so far or just life in general?
I'd say life is precious and time is precious. Time is also a thief. And in this job, I wouldn't say you lose a lot of time, but you and your families lose a lot of time.
Mm,
Because if you look at it, I work 48 hours a week. It's 2 days at the station out of a week. In theory, that's what is that, a third of the year? So 4 months out of the year, I'm at work and I'm not at home. So I know that it definitely takes a toll on me that I can't, see my wife for dinner or this, that, and the other. But it definitely helps when family stops by to the station or the crew's family stop by and you see all of us bonding and that dynamic coming together, that it is one big family.
yeah,
So it's really just time, and I'm thankful for the time that I get on this earth. So with that, I want to be able to spend it with as many people that I love as possible.
yeah. Yeah, I love that. It's a really beautiful thing and something that we should try to keep in the forefront of our minds. Yeah,
Mm,
there's a lot of things in this world that you can't buy and two of those things for sure is time and also family. So those are
sure.
things that we should definitely cherish the most.
Hmm.
So to summarize your journey, post high school where you tried the college thing, wasn't working out. You went to the Air Force, had a great career, and then eventually transitioned into being a firefighter. I'd imagine through that you might have wrestled with, what is your purpose in life and like what is your calling to
Hmm.
do in life? And it seems like you found it and that you definitely enjoy what you do now. And I could tell that because like you said, we've only been here 6, 7 months, but extremely enthusiastic about it.
Mm.
You're happy where you're at and you're in a position where you just, you truly love your job. So I'd imagine what would you say to someone who might be on, the doorstep of maybe the position that you were in, or someone in general who's trying to figure out what their purpose in life is?
A big thing is praying about it, and I wasn't a big prayer before because I thought it was just empty words that I was speaking.
Mm,
I've come to realize they are not empty words, and God is definitely listening, and He has a plan for your life. And the one big reason of why that I saw that, I guess I'm going off of your question, but I'll come back to it.
right,
Was when I was taking the EMT test. To me, it was hard. I'm not a medical minded person, which is hard to say that my wife is a doctor at the same time. But she was nice enough that I could bounce questions off her. And it wasn't until we had a small group with our church and our pastor actually prayed over me, and we all prayed together. And then I just kind of continued, and it was just a cycle of continuing to pray. And I could see it working in my life. I could see it working in my wife's life. And then I could see it like in my relationships with my friends and family. And it's a lot of joy that comes from it.
right,
But anyone who kind of was in the spot I was in, I guess I got hired 7 months ago, is just do it. I mean, if you're young enough and you're able bodied to do it, why not? If you feel that you're called to do it, do it. If you don't like it, you'll be called to do something else, and that might not have been your calling. Um, but it is definitely it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of discipline. It's a lot of early days, long nights. And the pay necessarily isn't maybe what people think it should be for a firefighter, but at the end of the day, being able to help somebody, I think, is the ultimate payment.
yeah, yeah, that's true. Like I said, life, family time, things you can't buy. So
Mhm,
yeah, definitely a beautiful thing. And yeah, I love that bit that you said about prayer when it comes to finding your purpose. I think that a lot of times people don't realize that prayer isn't for God. The Bible says that He knows what we want before we even ask.
mhm,
And so prayer, and who's it for then? Prayer is for us. It's almost a reminder to ourselves that God is with us and that if we ask and request in accordance with his will, he's just to give that to us. And that's something that we should try to remember, keep on our hearts and continue to pray without ceasing. Don't be afraid to ask for what you want as long as it aligns with God's will and what you're asking for isn't going to, compromise your faith, the faith of someone else or lead you away from God. I think that's one thing that people kind of get misconstrued with prayer because it's like you might be asking for a job or more money or this or that, but it's sometimes the heart behind that isn't exactly what it should be.
Mhm,
If you're asking for more a better job or more money because you just want a bigger house or you just want a bigger car or you want to go buy a boat or you want to spend it at the casino, like that's not what you should be praying for. And God's going to know your heart behind that. And that might be why you're not those prayers aren't being answered. So always you always want to check your heart position when you ask for something and understand within yourself, what are you asking it for? Do you want this better position because you want to be someone who can be in a leadership position, someone who would better steward the employees? Maybe you have a boss who doesn't align or agree with you. Maybe you're motivated to now become that boss so you can be more fair to your people who are under you and your coworkers and things like that. So having the right motivation behind it, I think, is behind your prayer is always going to be something that's going to be just in order to move God in the way that He says that He would move for
mhm.
you. And so, yeah, do you have anything we want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to say, I think I guess when I was younger as a kid, I grew up in church too, but praying was, oh, I want a bike, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
pray to God that I want a bike,
yeah. Want
and
some elite
that's
socks?
yeah,
Want some
exactly,
hyper fuses?
that happened once. I got hyperfuses,
Hey, praise God.
um, but it was always like about a material thing or something that I wanted,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until that my prayers changed until I got older. And that it was more so of like, show me the path, help me see what you want me to see. Um, and to me, I think what I was needing to see was that I needed to become a firefighter
Mm,
because that's where everything led me to.
yeah.
I might have done it later, but I'm a real believer that that's what it led me to, and so that's where it's changed me.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. And you've definitely got a lot of qualities that, a lot of men should aspire to have and
Mm,
people in general. I've always admired and respected your resolve. A lot of times when you have a task in mind, you're determined to do it and complete that mission. You've never been one to really run away from responsibility.
mhm,
Always been a dude with a good heart and definitely care for people very deeply. Always showing up for people, being very loyal, very dependable.
mhm.
And you just really show that actions really do speak louder than words. And that's something that, I generally look up to and always appreciate and try to emulate in my life as well. And even though your path hasn't always been considered traditional in a
Mhm.
sense, you've definitely kept moving forward. And I think people can for sure learn from that.
It's funny that you say that because I remember a time where I flew from Georgia to San Antonio to help Yare move a treadmill, and little did I know that was gonna be the day that I met my now wife.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm definitely appreciative for that moment,
Oh
and
yeah.
at the time, I was like, "Dude, what do you need me to help move a treadmill for?" But
Yeah.
all in all, it worked out in the end, so we're here now.
Uh-huh. You're welcome. You're welcome. And so when I think about, what that means in a biblical sense, it brings me to the verse, which is Titus 2:7-8. And it says, in everything, set them an example by doing what is good. In your teaching, show integrity, seriousness, and soundness of speech that cannot be condemned, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say about us. And it reminds me of you because a lot of time, like if you're one of those people where if someone's talking dirt behind your back about, oh, match this or that, that's
Mhm,
gonna tell me a lot more about the other person than it is about you. Because like, nah, like I know Matt. So if you feel something about him, that's definitely got to be coming from you like that.
mhm.
And there's not many people who can fall into that category.
Thank you, thank
And
you.
absolutely. And so, and in that context, for biblical context, that's Paul, Apostle Paul, writing to Titus, who's a leader, a young leader in the church, to help organize and strengthen the church. And in bigger context, it's about how believers should live in a way that makes their faith credible. And I think that's something that as you and I are continuing to grow in our faith, you want to just be a living example of what, God's love is, or your ministry almost just being your life. People seeing, oh, this person, oh, they're always happy, or when negative things happen, they're not too bogged down by it, or oh, I saw this person praying. Like, that's can be, people watch,
Mhm.
especially when you've got the Holy Spirit in you. You can know, and you can tell that about people. And so when you act a certain way, that can almost be sort of a ministry in itself.
Yeah, and, I think it's kind of become a thing today that it's a social norm, and I don't believe it should be, is that there's a saying is, "Do as I say, not as I do." And in that sense, why would I trust you if you're not gonna do it? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, same right back at you, brother. I mean, you're an inspiration to many, you know? I don't necessarily, and I won't say that I know the Bible as much as you do, but I definitely will come to you if I have a question about it or this, that, and the other, you know? So
Definitely.
there are definitely ways that I'd say we both inspire each other, and I
Yeah.
think it's a great relationship that we have, you know?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. So before we wrap up, is there a particular Bible verse or anything that has been on your mind as we've had this conversation?
Absolutely. There's been a couple of them that I think about, especially when I go to work, especially when I come home. So I guess necessarily all the time. So I'll just read a couple for you. So this one is from the book of Psalms 121:7. The Lord keeps you from all harm and watches over your life. And this one kind of speaks to me because I do work a dangerous job. I guess the normal folk, you don't know if you're going to go into a burning building and come out. And I think this can speak for all of our lives is that the Lord watches over us, whether that's you're driving to go to McDonald's or, you know, you're going to HEB to get groceries or you're running into a burning building
Yeah.
or you're having a life-saving surgery. So he has a plan for our life. And with that, he'll watch over us as long as we can. Or sorry, yeah, he'll watch over us. Another verse, this has been one from years ago. My brother, Chris, first told me this, and it's Proverbs 17:17. And it says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for times of adversity." And I think that verse was planted on my heart a long time ago, because when people do have emergencies, whether it's medical, fire, vehicle accidents, what have you, it is an adverse time. And I think that's what I was born to do, was to be there for them in those situations. So those are just a couple that I had and that I think about a lot. But thank you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, those are some beautiful verses that you shared. Yeah, I'll have to jot those down. I don't think I've heard those before. So yeah, that's awesome. Definitely love Proverbs. A lot of wisdom in that book. So for sure. But yeah, what a great conversation that we've had today. Always love to get time to spend with my dog. Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate you having me. It's definitely been a good one. My first podcast, so
Yeah,
I'll always remember it.
for sure. Yeah. So if you'd enjoyed this conversation, please like, share with your friends and family and loved ones, and continue to reach out, comment if you have anything you'd like to add, and look out for our next episode. And so that's the conclusion of this episode. God bless and stay kingdom minded.
All right, let's do it again.
What? I'm like, I forgot to hit record.
That would be wild.